And for every one of us, it's been different, right?
And what determines if you're born in in hell or or in a loving situation?
The parents
parents.
determine that.
Yeah.
So you're attracted to
This is the responsibility of being a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the average parent knew that, they might take their job more seriously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not God's design that you experience hell in the womb. That's the
No.
choice of people to choose sin
People
that
are choosing
creates that.
You have free will. You're allowed to have sex whenever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
God has no control over when you have sex. However, you do know when you have sex that you might have a child. So that's your responsibility. The environment you create for that child is also your responsibility. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the child
I
is
know you think that's unfair, which is really what you're trying to say.
Yeah, maybe.
So just say that.
it feels crap,
Seems
doesn't
unfair.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
That's unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can I ask something personal?
Sure.
Okay, my parents were heroin addicts
Yep.
when I was born. In the pregnancy, and I think in conception too, but I'm not sure.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's the truth, but I remember getting sucked into something really dark when my mother used heroin.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So that's
That's true.
And that's so scary and so terrifying. And
Yep. And you also had some nice spirit friends who were trying to help you in those places too.
I guess because I was protected.
You were. Yeah, but you see, this is things we're unaware of oftentimes.
Yeah, but there's so much unawareness.
Yep.
Where so when you wish to experience the terror because you know you have to go through it.
Yep.
I can't reach it.
You will be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with help from.
No, you'll be able to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
How?
Well, at
see,
the moment,
this is the problem. This is what's happening with many of your questions. Your emotions, your individual emotions, drive many of your questions. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, it's quite obvious what emotion is driving the question. So I'm stating to you a truth of what happens at incarnation, and you're going, but that's so unfair for me.
No, I try to understand.
I'm not ridiculing the situation
it's
here.
like you are just angry. It's an injustice. It was
you
horrible.
feel it's an injustice,
and you're allowed to feel angry about
but
that.
it's not God who created the injustice.
Yeah.
No,
It's your mum and dad.
Yeah.
And if you let yourself feel that, you will be able to access the fear and any grief that you have about the situation.
The compassion,
If you let yourself have
yourself.
compassion for yourself,
Yeah.
and you let yourself feel the truth that your mum and dad created this very bad environment for you, and you let yourself go through that emotionally, then you'll access these emotions easy enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in my life, I've been tortured more than once, and sometimes for days on end, right? And people, which is not dissimilar to the kind of feeling your little self
Went through.
as in terms of the spirit work. But the reality is you also had some very loving spirits who took care of you in those moments and protected you from a lot of what was going on in spirit form. They couldn't protect your physical body, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Because that was up to your mum and dad to do. And whenever they took heroin or whatever, then of course they're not doing it. Yeah. And they're causing damage to you. And if you were breastfed while you were...
Yeah, I was.
While they're taking heroin, that's even worse, right? Because now you're receiving some of the drug and therefore there's influences there as well, which make your life difficult. And these kind of things are the direct result of parents being unloving.
So I have to get angry.
Well,
You don't have to be
just
angry.
need to feel the truth that they were unloving, and you were this unfortunate. You had incarnated into their life to get them to be more loving. You know, that's basically God's intention for all incarnation.
I think I felt,
But the environment is a very unloving environment that you're going into. Now, of course, they had their own reasons for why they are addicts.
Yeah.
And they probably had their own experience with their own parents as why
Yeah.
they're addicts.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And there's a long chain of these societal problems that have been occurring year after year, century after century, millennia after millennia, and it all results from us all choosing to be unloving at some point, right? And this is why we need to solve it. Part of solving it is educating everyone about what happens, the facts of what happens. Unfair or not, these are the facts of what happens. And if we're educated as a society, you imagine if every parent who ever was thinking of becoming a parent knew that at the moment of conception, a little child is incarnated and they now have the responsibility to train and educate that child in love. Do you think a lot of the things that are going on now with regard to the education of children would be happening? They wouldn't be, would they, if everybody knew that? But the problem is most of us want to ignore reality but allow for illusion. We want to live the illusion because then we can get away with a lot of things. And this is a problem that we face as a society. We are not learning love very fast. Now, we are learning it, but it's like takes centuries. You know, like you think about the Dark Ages of like, there's 1,000 years went past there where they were torturing people and abusing people in the name of religion. And oh, my God, like, why did it take 1,000 years to work that out? You know, that's wrong. You know, like I said earlier, homosexual souls have been treated bad ever since I've known, like every homosexual soul I have ever met has been generally treated bad. Like, you know, one of my best friends, John, the Apostle John, he's a homosexual soul, and he was treated bad in the first century all the time. You know, it just... Now, why haven't we learnt? It's been millennia where there's been like up to nearly 10% of all people ever incarnating have been homosexual, and yet it's taken us thousands of years, and still today there's countries like Russia and other countries like that, still saying we're going to ban homosexuality. There's even in some like democratic countries, they don't recognise homosexual marriages. What's going on? It's because we don't learn love very fast. We don't learn what a loving thing would be very rapidly. But if we know the truth about things, then there's a higher likelihood that education will help us in our development of love. And what I'm suggesting to you is that the education you're going to need to go through is that you're allowed to say, my mum and dad were rotten to me, because they were. And they did bad things to me and it affected my life. And you're allowed to grieve it. You're allowed to have that grief. And if society was more loving thousands of years ago, it probably would have never happened to you. Because by the time we arrived at our day, all of us would be living in a paradise-like, wonderful condition where new children are welcomed on the earth, and none of them have ever got parents who are drug addicts, and none of them have ever got parents who are alcoholics, and none of them have got parents that smoke or do unloving things to other people. No one ever goes to war, and no one ever... You know, these kind of things we can solve, but they are our creations. They're not God's. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
And I think something that I noticed for yourself and many people actually yesterday, you know, there's this grapple with the intellect to understand, well, how could this be?
Yep.
And then there's the anger of like, that's so unjust. And really those two mechanisms, the intellect and the anger are the ways that we've learned in our flesh suits, like Jesus was talking about yesterday, with our senses, to kind of stay away from the soul feelings. And as you pointed out, you have some feeling of the soul feelings of what you went through in that state, but there's this resistance to just grieving and softening, and so you go back to the intellect. How could it be? Oh, angry. It's not like that for other people, you know. And these are just, it's coming to terms with the fact that these are the things that we use to stay away from the soul experience.
Yeah, and you got to be careful of misplacing your anger.
Yeah.
Your anger, when it's directed at God, is directed at the most innocent party to all of what happened to you.
Yeah.
Like, God only wants loving things for you.
Yeah.
And so when you direct anger at God for creating a system like this, for example, you're actually directing anger at the most innocent party.
Yeah.
And then the parties that are actually responsible, which is not just your mum and dad, but also the society that allowed your mum and dad even to, you know, why wasn't you taken away from them right from birth?
Yeah.
You know, like a society that allows drug addicts to have children and then says, oh, the family relationship is more important than the welfare of the child. That society's got problems. That makes sense. Like, because, you know, and we're so focused in this society of making family sacrosanct. In other words, family is holy. And in doing that, we overlook so many bad things going on in families. We overlook, you know, abuse of women in particular in family arrangements, you know, husband abuse of women. We overlook the abuse of children. We overlook the lack of care of a child. We overlook the lack of education of a child. We overlook so many things because we go, but it's the mum's responsibility. Well, if the mum is proving, or the dad is proving that they don't love the child, then it's society's responsibility to do something about that. But you see, none of us really believe that, because how would you like it to be society is saying to you, I'm taking away your child because you're being unloving? The majority of people go, oh, that would make me very angry, so I'm not going to do it to anybody else. And so we have a lot of emotional problems as to why we're not loving as a society. And that's very unfortunate, because what happens is you end up with children who have lived a life like you lived in the first few years of your life, which is completely unnecessary. Yeah.